They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself. Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody but him.
One man built a throne so legendary that even history had to step aside, while the other is still climbing a ladder yelling to anyone who will listen that he deserves that same spot. Stephen A. Smith just unleashed a truth bomb so heavy that it should put this whole debate to rest once and for all. If you've been stuck hearing the same old arguments, the same recycled numbers, and the same non-stop back and forth, what's coming next is finally going to clear the fog. This isn't about tearing down greatness. It's about showing the difference between the legends who earn their crown and the ones who keep campaigning for it. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James, the debate that just refuses to disappear. But here's the part nobody ever wants to admit. It's not really a debate anymore. It's a rescue mission. And LeBron's circle has spent years trying to build up a legacy that the game itself never fully approved. Every new record gets blown up online, every milestone gets pushed with a catchy hashtag, every accomplishment gets lined up next to Jordan's like someone's trying to convince us of something we're not buying yet. If the claim was solid, there wouldn't be this much campaigning in the first place. Jordan never needed public approval, never needed online validation.
Every time LeBron does something, if Jordan wanted to, he would have done it.
I didn't say that.
He's what you said he was.
So Jordan was the first 40-year-old to drop 40. That's number one. LeBron James is in his 22nd season. That was the 78th time in his career he has scored over 40 seasons. How many 40-point games did Michael Jordan have? 170.
Never needed a team pumping out posts every time he stepped on the court. The man just showed up, took over, dominated, and walked away twice, leaving the entire basketball world shaken both times. Meanwhile, LeBron's whole career has turned into one long campaign speech, and the cracks in that campaign are starting to show. Because true greatness doesn't need to be defended every 5 minutes. It stands on its own. Greatness that needs non-stop protection doesn't live forever. It fades the second the mic cuts off. Stephen A. Smith has been pointing this out for years, and now he's dropped a list of quotes so sharp and so direct that they break down the LeBron GOAT argument piece by piece. 12 statements that slice through the noise and reveal the uncomfortable truth. Jordan is untouchable. LeBron is still climbing, and no matter how long he plays or how many points he puts up, that gap isn't closing. If you're ready for the real breakdown, tighten up, because we're diving straight into the facts with no filters. The real issue, the elephant in the room, is the difference between authentic legends and ones built through non-stop promotion, and it starts with self-proclamation.
LeBron James, there's only one player we look at and we say definitively we think was better, and that was Michael Jordan. They were trying to compel people to say he was the greatest. Michael Jordan didn't say that about himself. Kobe Bryant didn't say that about himself. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar didn't say that about himself. Bill Russell didn't say that about himself. Tim Duncan didn't say that about himself. Nobody said that. Nobody but him. Steph Curry hasn't said that about himself. Steph Curry has never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Ray Allen never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Reggie Miller never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Allen Houston never called himself the greatest shooter of all time. Nobody called themselves the greatest in anything but that man and his camp.
LeBron James and the people around him have spent years pushing one message, that he's the greatest of all time, not hinting at it, not suggesting it, but declaring it loud, clear, and non-stop. That alone speaks louder than any stat sheet, because in the entire history of basketball, no true all-time great has ever needed to crown themselves. Not a single one of those all-time giants ever called themselves the GOAT, not once. Michael Jordan never said it, never hinted at it, never even played around with the idea. He just let those 6 championships speak louder than any speech ever could. His perfect finals record? That was his mic drop every single time. Kobe Bryant, someone who pushed his craft with a level of focus that felt almost unreal, never crowned himself either. Even with all the work he put in, all the respect he earned, he still let the game speak for him. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held the scoring record for nearly 40 years, stacked 6 MVP trophies, and won 6 rings, and never needed a campaign, a hashtag, or a media push to get the respect he already had. Bill Russell, 11 championships. The man didn't need to say a word because his rings were louder than any press conference ever would be. Tim Duncan collected 5 titles and 3 finals MVPs without saying a single thing about being the best, because the way he played echoed through every era he touched. LeBron couldn't wait, and he stepped forward, declaring himself the greatest. His circle backed him up, repeating it. pushing it and making sure it's spread. And every time someone disagrees, the reaction is the same, like the world is doing something wrong for not falling in line. That's not confidence. That looks like pressure leaking through the cracks.
Anything that Michael Jordan wanted to do, he didn't spend the first 8 years shivering. He didn't have to go to South Beach to learn how to win. All I know is your man got 7 more years in the league and still chasing Jordan. 7 more years. He don't even have more rings. Been in the league long enough that I was in college. And still, he ain't catch Jordan.
And still get him there.
True greatness doesn't need a hype machine or a PR script. It just stands firm, undeniable, and clear, because real work doesn't need marketing to shine. And if you want the perfect example, look at Steph Curry. This is a man who literally changed the game, shattered records that seemed impossible, and rewrote how basketball is even played. And he's never once declared himself the greatest shooter of all time. Everybody else says it, but Steph just keeps firing and lets the numbers stack themselves. Ray Allen held the three-point record before Steph took it, and he never called himself the greatest shooter either. These guys understood something simple. When you're actually the best, the world says it for you. You don't have to force it. LeBron crossed that unspoken line when he looked at the history books, saw the throne, and instead of waiting for universal recognition, he tried to grab that title himself. His team backed him every step, filling the conversation with highlights, think pieces, and carefully chosen stats built to rewrite what fans already understand. Jordan is the standard. He's always been the standard, and no amount of self-promotion is about to shift that. And when you want to talk numbers, here's where the gap gets wild. 40-point games show how much a player can take over and straight up tear a defense apart when the moment demands it. Michael Jordan had 173 games with 40 or more points, and he did that in just 15 seasons. 2 of those were comeback years after retirement, and 2 more were in Washington when he was already older, dealing with bad knees and just hooping because he loved the game. That means his true peak dominance happened in about 11 seasons, and it was unmatched. LeBron James, now in his 22nd season, just reached his 78th career 40-point game. 78! After more than 2 decades with 7 extra years of opportunity compared to Jordan, he's not even halfway to that number. 7 extra years of possessions, minutes, training improvements, and modern advantages, and he's still trailing by almost 100 games. LeBron has stretched his career across multiple eras, benefiting from the best sports science, the best recovery tools, and every advantage modern basketball can give, yet the gap in pure dominance is still massive. Even with all the advantages he's had, LeBron still can't match what Jordan did in a shorter and way tougher stretch of time. Jordan didn't need 20 years to prove who the top dog was. He stepped into the league and started tearing it apart from day one. His 40-point nights weren't special events. They were just another regular game for him. Meanwhile, every time LeBron drops 40, it gets treated like some historic moment. Social media lights up, debates explode, and the GOAT tags start flying everywhere like fireworks. When every big performance needs that much hype just to keep a storyline alive, it shows the game itself isn't speaking loud enough on its own. Jordan was doing all this in an era where defense felt like controlled combat, hand checking allowed, bodies getting pushed around, and hard fouls were exactly that, like hard fouls. The league was rough, physical, and completely unforgiving. LeBron has played in a period where even brushing a shooter's hand gets called. The pace is faster, and the rules tilt toward offense. And even with that, he's still behind. Greatness reveals itself early, and Jordan proved that the second he stepped into the NBA in 1984. He didn't need years to grow into it, didn't need older players to guide him, didn't need a whole learning curve. He walked into Chicago, a franchise struggling for direction, and flipped the whole culture on day one. By his 3rd season, he was dropping 37 points per game, and by his 7th, he grabbed his first championship, and that sparked a stretch of 6 titles in 8 years. LeBron entered the league in 2003 with more hype than anyone before him, labeled the Chosen One. And yet it took him 8 years in Cleveland to figure things out. He reached the 2007 finals, but the moment was too big and his squad got swept without any real pushback. After 8 years of trying to make it work, LeBron made a move Jordan never would have made. He left. He teamed up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami, and that's where he finally learned how to win. But learning how to win isn't the same as defining greatness. It's mentorship, not domination. Jordan never left Chicago searching for somebody to teach him how to close games. He built his path through pressure and challenges without asking for extra help. LeBron needed a blueprint, a super team, and 2 other stars standing next to him to finally break through. And even then, it took him 2 seasons in Miami before he won his first ring. That difference matters because greatness isn't just about how you end your career. It's about how you start the journey. Jordan showed his spark from the very beginning, while LeBron took nearly a decade to solve the puzzle. Jordan was young too, but he didn't need excuses, patience, or extra pieces. Just a ball and a court, and he'd dominate anyone who stepped in front of him. Jordan created the blueprint. LeBron is the result of it. Jordan didn't only dominate during his prime, he pushed back against time itself. At 40 years old, playing for the Washington Wizards on worn-down knees that already survived 2 separate three-peat runs, Jordan became the first player at that age to drop 40 in a game. That wasn't just a number, it was a message to time itself, a reminder that real greatness lives inside the player, not in the training tech or modern recovery tricks. LeBron fans love to hype up his longevity like it's the ultimate trump card, but let's keep it real. Playing a long time isn't the same as ruling the game. Sure, LeBron has stayed in top shape for years, and that's impressive, but he's had every modern advantage possible. Cryotherapy sessions, personal chefs, specialized training plans, and the best sports science money can buy. Jordan had none of that, and he was still hooping in an era where players pushed through pain without all the tech and recovery tools we see today. Even with all those disadvantages, Jordan at age 40 still made history in a way LeBron hasn't touched. When Jordan came back after his second retirement, he didn't return to prove anything. He already had 6 championships stamped into history. He came back because he loved the game, and even in a worn-down body, he could still remind the world what authentic greatness looked like. Dropping 40 at age 40 wasn't about chasing any records. It was about showing that time couldn't wipe away who he truly was. There's one line that should shut this whole argument down, and it hits hard. Stephen A. Smith said it plain and simple, that LeBron James has been in the league 7 more years than Michael Jordan, and he's still chasing the crown. With all that extra time, all those extra games, and every modern advantage a player could dream of, LeBron still hasn't caught him. Not in dominance, not in final success, not in cultural impact. Longevity is supposed to be the bonus on top of a legendary career, not the entire foundation of the argument. But for LeBron, longevity is the argument. And if the best thing you can say about someone in a GOAT conversation is that they played longer, then you're not talking about the greatest, you're talking about the most durable. Jordan conquered the league in about 11 explosive years where he rewrote record books, grabbed 6 titles, and never took an L in the finals. He turned basketball into something bigger than the sport. People all over the world followed his every move. LeBron has had 22 years to match what Jordan did in 11, and he's still not hitting the same marks. If someone were truly greater, they wouldn't need double the time to make the case. LeBron's resume is long, loaded, and impressive, but it always feels like it needs defending, explaining, and breaking down piece by piece. Jordan's resume? It stands tall all by itself, no extra work needed, no explanations required, just facts. And it gets deeper, because LeBron hasn't just had more time, he's had more help. More All-Stars, more Hall of Famers, more stacked rosters than Jordan ever had behind him. Miami's Big Three. Cleveland with Kyrie and Kevin Love, the Lakers with Anthony Davis. LeBron has built super teams throughout different chapters of his career, always shifting to the next setup. Jordan stayed in Chicago, turned Scottie Pippen into a Hall of Famer, and dominated with the same core without jumping around or looking for shortcuts. That stability turned into history. Even with all of LeBron's advantages, he still trails, and Stephen A. Smith dropped a line so sharp it sliced through every defense ever made for LeBron. Everybody already recognizes LeBron as one of the top 3 players in history. What more do you want? A diaper and a bib. And the truth is simple, LeBron is great, top 3 all time, but top 3 isn't number 1, and the gap at the top is still untouched, absolutely. And here's the wild part, even being one of the greatest players ever still isn't enough for some of LeBron's fans. They don't just want respect, they want worship, they don't want recognition, they want the crown handed to him without question. Every time LeBron hits a milestone, his circle floods the internet demanding everyone bow down and call him the greatest ever. When he passed Kareem's scoring record, it wasn't just celebrated, it got flipped into a weapon used to argue he's better than Jordan. Every single moment gets turned into a campaign ad, and the non-stop chasing for approval exposes something nobody wants to say out loud. It shows desperation. Jordan never needed any of that, and his fans never had to fight online for him because the respect showed up naturally. The work was too obvious to ignore. When Jordan won his 6th title and stepped away, there wasn't a single person asking, but is he really the best? His legacy was already sealed. LeBron's journey has felt like one giant PR push, where every achievement comes with a press rollout like it's part of a marketing plan. And the harder his circle pushes, the more forced it all feels. The truly great never had to campaign for their spot. Magic Johnson changed the game with Showtime, won 5 championships, and never once stood up and declared himself the greatest point guard ever. Larry Bird dominated a whole era and stayed humble through all of it. Kareem was the most unstoppable scorer the league had ever seen for decades and let the skyhook speak for him. Bill Russell won 11 rings in 13 years and didn't shout a word about his greatness. Kobe Bryant spent 20 seasons chasing perfection and still had the humility to let the world decide where he ranked. Every true all-time legend understood the code. You don't declare yourself the best because the world declares it for you. LeBron broke that code the moment he looked at the unwritten rules of basketball royalty and decided they didn't apply to him. And when that wasn't enough, his camp doubled down and turned his entire legacy into a non-stop marketing mission. But the more they push, the more hollow it sounds, because when all the greats stayed silent and the only one talking is the one still trying to reach that level, the truth becomes clear. Jordan's greatness became legendary because it was built through unforgettable performances, not media spin. His legacy came from killer instinct, clutch moments, and a finals record that still stands untouched. LeBron's legacy has been shaped like a documentary being filmed in real time, highly produced, polished, and constantly protected. And when someone has to keep reminding the world how great they are, it starts looking less like confidence and more like insecurity. Jordan let history write his story. LeBron has been trying to write his own. And here's the part no one can ignore. LeBron James is the only all-time legend who openly declared himself the greatest of all time. That fact alone should tell you everything, because if you have to say it, if you have to push it, if you have to beg for the recognition, it usually means the world doesn't fully agree. Greatness doesn't campaign, it just exists. Jordan's focus was simple: win, dominate, and take down anyone standing in front of him, and he succeeded at the highest level. LeBron's focus has always been split, half basketball, half brand, and that divided focus shows in the story of his career. His resume is massive, but people still argue about it. Impressive, but debated. Huge, but incomplete. Jordan's legacy? That was locked in the moment he hit his 6th championship winning shot and walked off the floor one final time. LeBron's legacy is still being built and still being argued because the story isn't settled yet. You can't call yourself king if you never truly conquered the throne. LeBron has had every advantage anyone could ask for. More years, more resources, more all-star teammates, better training, advanced recovery tech, and a softer era with rules built to help scorers. And even with all of that, he still can't match what Jordan did in a tighter and more brutal window. Jordan earned his crown through pressure, performance, and perfection. LeBron has tried to claim it through volume, longevity, and carefully crafted narratives, and that difference shows. One legacy stands forever without needing defense, while the other needs a full-time legal team working overtime just to keep the conversation alive. This debate isn't about hate, it's about hierarchy, and at the very top of that hierarchy sits Michael Jordan, untouchable, undeniable, and immortal. LeBron James is a legend, top 3 all-time without question. But the throne stays with Jordan, and no amount of self-proclamation is ever going to move it. So the next time someone tries to tell you LeBron is the GOAT, remember Stephen A. Smith's line that he had 7 more years and every tool and every chance and still couldn't catch him. What do you think? Is the debate finally over, or are people still pretending longevity equals dominance? Drop your thoughts in the comments below.